Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. You gotta laugh to keep from crying. So today we're gonna talk about war with Iran. Don't. Well, we've been on a war footing status with the nation of Iran ever since the Ayatollah Khomeini and a handful of college-age revolutionaries ousted the Shah of Iran and turned a westernized Middle Eastern country into a dictatorship in 1979. And we've managed to avoid a direct all-out conflict with Iran. And I'm going to take a moment here and talk about Israel and talk about how I predicted everything that has occurred in this Israeli war against the Palestinians in Gaza. On October 8th last year, the day after the attack by Hezbollah against the Israeli people and civilian population of Israel, and I suggested in that video, in no uncertain terms, that Israel would overreact, that they would see this as the opportunity to obtain the moral high ground, and that they would destroy Gaza in totality. At some point, they would turn their efforts then towards the West Bank, driving Palestinians out of there. And at some point along the line, they would lose the support of the international community. I predicted they would be accused of war crimes, and they have. They did overreact. I said that they would invade northern Gaza, draw a red line in the sand, and tell all of the Palestinians to get south of that line, at which point they would move the line further and further south until they had all of the Palestinian people trapped in Rafah at the gates of Egypt. And then their choice would be to stay and die in Rafah, or to escape in Egypt, or to swim out in the ocean to their inevitable end. And that Israel was not going to stop until they had completely destroyed all of the Gaza Strip. It's been said by analysts that the amount of explosive ordnance deployed by the Israelis against the people of Gaza has been equal to many nuclear weapons. So the amount of destructive power brought against Gaza might as well have been the same as being nuked. This is how much the destruction is total, and I predicted all of that. And so to get you up to date, this is starting to expand now to Iran. That Iran has retaliated against Israel. They're the only Middle Eastern nation to do more than saber rattle and talk big. Through their proxies of the Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen, they have engaged in many attacks against Israel, and there has been a continuous bombing, missile strikes, rocket strikes, drone strikes coming both from Hezbollah and from the Houthi rebels in Yemen. But nothing has come directly from Iran. They've been using these proxies. They've been in a proxy war with Israel since October 8th, but yet they have not done anything overtly using their own military. They've been simply supplying, directing, and training Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen, as well as other allies and anti-Israel organizations throughout Syria and other nations, even in Iraq. And there's been several attacks against the United States and against Israel by these proxy forces. I heard a number today that was absolutely bone-chilling. The amount of force used by Hezbollah has been a drop in the bucket of what they're capable of. The Hezbollah terror army in southern Lebanon has more than 100,000 battle-hardened troops who are there ready to invade Israel if given the signal to do so. I heard a number that said that they have the capability of sending 2,000 rockets and missiles across the border from Lebanon into Israel, 2,000 a day for 100 days. So this has been a tit-for-tat kind of measured, really just a frustrating the enemy kind of scenario coming from Hezbollah. They've been trying to frustrate the Israeli army and keep them from putting all of their efforts into what's going on down in Gaza. And this has been going on throughout the conflict. Now, Israel crossed a red line. You may not know this, and then again, you may know that all nations who have embassies in foreign countries view their embassy as a piece of their country. Any place there is a United States embassy, the United States views that as an American soil in a foreign country. So to attack a United States embassy is to attack the United States. And it might as well be an attack on our native soil, because we see that as our property in a foreign country. So Israel recently attacked the Iranian embassy in Damascus, Syria, killing a top general and several other military leaders. They destroyed a building within the embassy compound, and Iran is seeing this as a direct attack against them on their own soil, even though it happened in Syria. That was Iranian soil in the Iranian embassy, and they have vowed retaliation. They have vowed to get revenge against Israel for their attack and the killing of their generals. And most military analysts agree that the attack is inevitable and will come sooner rather than later. Literally, by the time this video is uploaded, a retaliatory strike against Israel by Iran might have already occurred. If not, it will be occurring by many people's estimation within the next few days. Now, the big question is, what kind of retaliation are we talking about? Now, worst case scenario, they being the Iranians, organized a concerted and an attack where it comes from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, attacks against northern Israel, that the Houthi rebels then will attack Israel and potentially American bases throughout the Middle East, and Iran will launch their missiles against Israel with a overall goal to destroy Israel's ability to continue war in Gaza or any retaliatory strikes against Iran proper. And they actually have the capability of doing just that. You know, speaking to some of the boomers now, you may have a low opinion of Iran, but I think it's because you don't have all the information. Something you may not know is that Iran is rated 6th in the world in missile technology. That the drones that are being used by Russia against the Ukrainian army in Ukraine are being supplied by Iran. That Iran's technology when it comes to missiles and when it comes to drones are cutting edge. They've taken all of their energy, instead of building tanks and an air force and a navy, they put all of their energy in Iran into building these missiles. They now have missiles with a 2,000-mile range. They're they're GPS guided, they're precision weapons, and they can hit targets anywhere within a 2,000-kilometer range, which is about 1,000 miles, which means they can hit all of the Middle East and even Eastern Europe. So don't underestimate Iran's ability to inflict pain on their neighbors. They are amongst the best equipped, probably next to Israel only. And there is the big question, does Iran have any nuclear warheads that could be placed on these very capable missile systems? And the answer to that is probably yes. You know, Iran is doing business with Russia. They're providing Russia with drones in Ukraine. It's not a stretch of imagination to consider that Russia might also be sharing technology with Iran and trading with them, things like potentially nuclear warheads. We recently, both sides recently scrapped the non-nuclear proliferation treaties of the past, and there is no treaty currently in place to prevent them from doing just that. Russia also is in possession of hyperspeed, it's a word I'm looking for, I'm missing the word there, but they have missile technology where their missiles travel so quickly that no current anti-missile system can prevent them from hitting their target because they're traveling too quick. These hyperspeed missiles, are something that they could have given to Iran. Iran may have a significant arsenal made up of these missiles that we are unaware that they possess, right? They could obtain them rather quickly. That may be what's going on right now. That Iran and its proxies have the ability to inflict a major blow against Israel. This would force the United States to get involved. If that happened, the United States would more than likely launch airstrikes with American aircraft against Iranian targets in the homeland of Iran. What would Russia do if that were to happen? You know, Russia has already had enough of us, right? We've been funding the Ukrainian war. We've been providing them with weapons. Russia recently got hit by a terrorist attack at a concert, and they were already up to their ears with Western influence. I talked about how in past videos how we have been systematically for more than a decade encircling Russia by spreading NATO countries and accepting new NATO countries into NATO and bringing basically nuclear weapons closer and closer and closer to the Russian border. And Vladimir Putin has told us straight out, this is war. If you keep doing this, we're going to go to war with you. So if Iran were to attack Israel and Iran were to overreact the way Israel overreacted in Gaza, if they were to say, okay, you attacked our embassy in Syria, so this is now all-out war, and they were to send those 2,000 missiles and rockets a day from Hezbollah, if the 100,000 member army of Hezbollah were to invade from the north, if the Houthis were to shoot their shot, and all of that happened at once, along with these these Iranian high-tech, target, what's the word I'm looking for? Precision targeted ballistic missiles, if they were to use these against Israel all at one time, it would overwhelm Israel's defenses. But once again, the United States would fly against Israel. So I don't think, I just said Israel, will fly against Iran rather, excuse me. And I don't believe that the Iranians are that stupid. I think that they have to retaliate to save face. They have to hit back because they were hit. And therefore, I think it's more likely that Iran will target an Israeli embassy somewhere in the world, either with a missile strike, the same way that the Israelis hit the Iranians in Syria, or through some kind of terrorist activity. Now, keep in mind, our southern border has been open now for 4 straight years. For 4 straight years, until Greg Abbott got in charge down there and took charge down there in Texas, we had an open border, and military-age men from around the world, and that includes Middle Eastern countries and China, have been flooding into the United States to the tune of thousands and thousands. So to think that Iran doesn't have some ability to strike against the United States on the United States soil with some kind of terrorist activity is, that's some Pollyanna stuff there. They absolutely have that capability. There are sleeper cells currently in the United States awaiting orders against United States citizens. Now, could this be a terrorist attack against the Israeli embassy in the United States? Potentially. They could cause a terrorist attack against Israeli embassies in Europe. They could hit more than one at a time with a terrorist attack, something like the Oklahoma City bombing truck bomb, or something like the ramming of the gates with a truck bomb in Beirut, Lebanon against the U.S. Marines in 1986. So there is a lot of different ways that Iran could respond, and everyone agrees Iran is going to respond. That attacking the Iranian generals in an embassy compound is the same as attacking Iran on its own soil, and I don't know what Israel was thinking. And many people think that Israel's trying to start World War III, that this is the only way that they can finally get their goals achieved, is by escalating this into a regional conflict and basically destroying anyone who's a threat to Israel. That Gaza is just the beginning. And I said this on October 8th, that they were going to once and for all put an end to all their enemies, starting in Gaza, moving to the West Bank, and potentially invading Lebanon to deal with Hezbollah, and more than likely engaging in an open warfare against Iran, with the belief that the United States would back them up. And I think when it comes to Iran, we probably would. I think that the United States and public opinion globally, within the government and around the world, has fallen against Israel because of its overreaching destruction of Gaza. Its complete destruction and disregard for citizen population in Gaza has brought about a change in public opinion. And Israel no longer has the high ground. Israel no longer has the moral high ground. And so I don't know how much support they're going to get from anyone but the United States. But when it comes to Iran, we would probably get involved. And then the question is Russia going to sit by while we bomb Iran back to the Stone Age? This is either going to be a gradual, tit-for-tat, slow walk into World War III, or it's going to ignite in a moment. You know, if you're listening, Chief, and other boomers from the military, from military service during the Cold War, most of them believe that no one would ever use nuclear weapons. Most of them believe that no one would openly attack the United States because we have this doctrine of assured destruction, that we have the military capability and the nuclear arsenal to literally destroy the entire Earth with a push of a button. That just one of our nuclear submarines surfacing in some unknown ocean and launching its missiles could end entire nations. That just one of our many submarines could put an end to Russia once and for all, and China too. One or two of these submarines. That the threat of mutual destruction is so strong that nobody will use them and nobody will ever attack the United States. And if they do, it's on like Donkey Kong and nobody could stop it. And I don't know that that information is really current to today's situation. I think Russia and maybe even elements within the American military believe that you could engage in limited nuclear war. You could engage in tactical nuclear weapon use. That we could have a full-out World War III and not destroy the world. Many people think that there is an element of the Russian military hierarchy that believe that a nuclear exchange with the United States is survivable. I will tell you this, we aren't prepared. Israel is getting prepared. Israel has had a run on their ATMs. People are hoarding cash in Israel. People are hoarding fuel and food in Israel. Israel is telling their civilian population to put up 2 or 3 weeks worth of food, which is a drop in the bucket, but at least it's better than nothing. Stave off starvation for a little while. But nonetheless, they're issuing sat phones and survival gear and equipment to all of their embassies, and they are preparing for a greater war. And some say they desire a greater war, that they want to go ahead and get this over with and get it done right now. And the big question is, will this escalate? And I don't see how it doesn't. If Iran overcompensates, it does more to Israel than Israel did to them. For instance, hits more than one of their embassies. Or, for instance, hits civilian populations in Israel. Or does a coordinated, orchestrated attack by Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the Iranian military from Iranian soil. If they do that, I think that World War III will fall as just like dominoes. That Israel will respond, the United States will back up Israel, Russia will get involved, and then over here in the South China Sea, we have the Chinese encircling Taiwan, who recently had a massive earthquake disaster there. So they're not at their best right now. They're in a weakened state. And with Taiwan being, 30 miles off the coast of China, it would be very easy for China to just annex Taiwan, destroy the Taiwanese military, and we would be distracted in Ukraine. We would be distracted in Israel and our battles with Iran. So if that were to happen, it would be a domino effect, and World War III would take off, and eventually somebody's going to fling a nuke Either Israel's going to throw one because they feel like their back's against the wall, or Iran may have one that no one knows about. They may have purchased one from the Russians. You know, the Russians possess these hypersonic ballistic missiles that can travel so fast that no anti-missile system can shoot them down. They may have supplied Iran with this. Iran might decide to just destroy Israel in a blink. At which point, if Israel has a nuke, they would feel necessary to use it. So the only way this doesn't escalate out of control, if Iran's response is proportional. If they, through a terrorist attack or a bombing or a missile or drone strike, attack an Israeli embassy and do the same kind of damage to them that Israel did to Iran in the Syrian embassy, then we might see a slow walk into World War III. But anything greater than that could result in the dominoes being tipped over and this domino effect happening until we are engulfed in a worldwide global conflict which could turn nuclear at the blink of an eye. Tell me what you think in the comments section. Is Iran just going to take this punch on the chin? Are they all talk? Are they not going to do anything? Has Erdogan in Turkey gone to sleep? Is he not going to get involved if Hezbollah, for instance, invades Israel, or Israel invades southern Lebanon and comes after that 100,000 member army? Will Hezbollah fire 2,000 missiles and rockets a day for 100 days at Israel in response to any of this? I got to tell you, it doesn't look good. And this series of events could happen before I even get this video uploaded. Or it might not ever happen, or it could happen over the course of the next few months. Tell me what you think in the comments section. And thank you to all of you who support the channel financially. As you know, I don't get money from YouTube. My money comes directly from viewers like you. So drop me a donation in the comments, or not comments, but in the description. There's links to PayPal and Cash App and my P.O. Box. And continue to support this channel so I can continue to put out content on things that you find interesting and weigh and measure all of this out. All right, we'll see you next time on the end of the world as we know it. Do you feel fine? I don't know, maybe not.